welcome to Moments with Marianne. I'm so delighted we're spending this time here today. We have a very inspiring show coming right up with none other than special guest Kathleen O'Keefe-Kanavos. And she's here today to talk to us about her new book, Dreams That Can Save Your Life. Now, Kat is a dream expert and 3 times breast cancer survivor who used dreams to diagnose her illness when it was missed by her doctors. She was born a Special Force army-brat in Germany and educated in Europe. She has a degree in special education and taught psychology at USF Fort Myers branch. So let's welcome to the show, Kathleen.
Thank you so much, Marianne. I've been looking forward to this show all week, or all last week, really.
I
knew we would have a good time.
Oh, you know what? We always have a good time when we get to chat, and you're so busy. My goodness, I mean, you're a dream expert, you're a coach, you have your own radio show and TV show. I mean, and that's just a few of the things that you do, a few of the hats you wear, you know.
Yes, I'm a person of many hats. I do love hats.
Talk about hats. I mean, I've got to ask you, what decided to have you throw your hat in the ring on this book? You're like, how did you even get started on, gosh, I want to write a book on dreams?
Well, I'm a 3-time breast cancer survivor. And after I had been keeping a journal, a dream journal, all through my journey because my dreams diagnosed the breast cancer every single time when the doctors had told me to go home that I was healthy. And, I thought that I was an unusual case, but as you'll probably see later, during the interview, there were 41 other people that are in the book that had similar stories, so I'm not as unique as I thought I was. But I took all of my journals, my dream journals that first diagnosed my illness, my breast cancer, and then these same dreams guided me on my treatments, on my diet, on getting healthy, on how to change my life. And I took all of those dreams and I put them into the book, Surviving Cancerland, Intuitive Aspects of Healing, which won 4 book awards. And during that time that the book was just out, Dr. Larry Burke, who is a radiologist at Duke University, had started his research on dreams that diagnosed breast cancer. And he decided to do this research because he had women coming in for mammograms that were saying, I had a dream that told me I had breast cancer. And sometimes they would say, my doctor told me there was nothing wrong with me, that, I couldn't get tests just because I had a feeling or I had a dream. And so I'm turning to you. And it would turn out that those women actually had breast cancer. So when Dr. Larry Burke was looking for people to be in this research, he came across my book, Surviving Cancerland. And after he read it, he called me up. And I was one of his research patients, one of the 20. Actually, there were, I think, 19 of us. And of those 19 women, 18 lived because they followed their dreams, they believed in their dreams, and they stood in their power, they spoke their truth. They would not be dismissed by the doctors, just like I wouldn't. But the one patient or the one research patient who was actually a doctor also, who believed her doctor when that doctor said, there's nothing wrong with you, go home, come back in 6 months and we'll check it. She's the only one that died. And by the time she came back 6 months later, the cancer had spread throughout her body, and she wasn't able to overcome it. So to make a long story short, after all the research was done, I said to Larry, well, Larry, what are you going to do with all this research? And he said, well, I put it into journals, medical journals, and I don't really know what else I'm going to do. I said, why don't we write a book? And we can, write a book about dreams that can save your life. And he goes, oh, you know what? I think that's a great title, and then we'll just put early warning signs of cancer. At first, it was just early warning signs of cancer. And then when the book got picked up by the publisher, when we got into a bidding war off of our book proposal, they added and other diseases to it because many of the stories in our book is not just about cancer. And that's kind of the wrap up, and this is where we are now. And today I'm on your show.
And that's how that, well, it's interesting. We get listeners that write in all the time. They're like, gosh, how did this even happen? How did she even decide that this is a book I'm going to write? And especially, you're doing this with this really noted MD, and it's interesting. People want to hear how the journey took place.
And that's how it took place. It was very serendipitous. But I really believe that when you get in the flow of your life purpose, that things happen. They happen according to plan. And I believe that this book is according to plan, because it's almost like Dr. Jung and Dr. Freud on steroids. It's the next step. It's dreams that are validated by pathology reports in the medical community, when the doctors didn't even know a lot of times that these patients had the dream. So it was a double-blind study.
Yeah, and that really, when you look at the scientific fact behind it, and it's interesting to hear that one of the doctors that had the dream ignored her intuition, ignored the messages that she was getting, and then she had a different outcome because she's using that scientific mind. But now we have science that's saying, hey, pay attention to these things when they happen, because it can profoundly impact your life.
Yes, and I think one of the reasons why Larry got really excited, and by the way, he doesn't like to be called Dr. Burke. He's very grounded. He's very down to earth. He wants you to call him Larry. So one of the things that Larry wanted to do was make this book not only just accessible to the patients, but also to the medical community. So, he writes parts of the book from the medical mind, and I write it from, for lack of a better word, the guinea pig mind. So it's quite a good balance. But one of the things that we were talking about, we wrote about in this book, is that dreams have been a part of medicine since 4,000 years ago, with Imhotep in Egypt, and he was the chancellor and also one of the high priests of the sun god Ra. And he started what was later named the Asclepian dream temples. And those were actually in Greece. And what happened is, in Greece and in Rome, let's say a woman couldn't get pregnant. She really needed help getting pregnant, because back then, if you were a woman, you didn't have a baby, you were kind of worthless. Or somebody was not feeling well, but they didn't know why. And they would go to one of these Asclepian dream temples, and they would ask the priest at that temple to sleep with them and dream with them, not sleep with them sexually, but sleep beside them on the floor, on the hard, cold floor, and dream with them. And then they would write down the dreams the next morning, and they would go to a dream interpreter who would tell them what the dream meant if the priest didn't know. Well, we have that in our book. We actually have patients or writers in the book who dreamt for other people who were sick, and then called them up and said, I had a dream about you, and this is what I dreamt. And that chapter or that section in the book is dreaming with and for others. So it's still happening today, yet the medical community, it's been going on for 4,000 years, yet the medical community is not embracing it.
Well, it seems with your book, it helps start that discussion within the medical community where they're like, well, you know what, maybe we need to look at this in a new light, or start taking people more seriously when they come in with these types of concerns, and they're adamant that this is what's going to happen, because they really have felt and lived it.
I think, and that's what we're hoping for, Mary, and that's why we wrote this book. We didn't write the book for us because we've already been there, done that. We wrote this book for all the other millions of people all over this planet who are dreamers. And even those who aren't, for instance, some of the blurbs on the book are written by people who were not necessarily great dreamers, and they said that. So we asked them to read the book and give us a blurb anyhow, and they said that they put the book beside their bed and they started dreaming. That kind of blew us away. And they said that the book just opened up a door that had been closed, a door that we're all born with, I believe. And they started having these incredible mystic-type dreams. And so, I believe that dreams are contagious. And when you get into a dream group and you talk about dreams, even if you're not someone who can remember your dreams, you'll start to remember them. And if you start reading this book, I think you will remember your dreams. And if you do, please let me know, because I want to know about it.
Well, and you touched on something I'd love for you to expand on, because I know that you think that dreams are sacred doorways, but what are they sacred doorways to?
I really believe, Marianne, they're sacred doorways to the divine. And I believe that before we were born, that place where we lived, before we decided to be born here and live here, we are connected to that place through our sacred dream doors. And so you'll see in this book that many of the stories are about how when the people were in their darkest moment, when they didn't know if they were going to make it. Some of these women in this book were in stage 4 terminal. They had been told by their doctors to go home and get their house in order, find someone to help their husband raise their child. They'd have 2-year-olds. And then they would have a dream. And through this sacred dream doorway, they would receive information that saved them. An example would be one woman had gone to the doctor, found out she had been having dreams. She went to the doctor, found out that she was in stage 4 ovarian cancer, ovarian or uterus. Anyhow, it was like in everything, so it didn't matter. It was there. Yeah. And he told her at the most she had maybe a couple months left to go home and get her house in order. They tried all kinds of different chemos on her. Nothing was working. It was getting worse, not better. It wasn't even slowing down. And she was young. She was in her 20s, which is always deadly. And she had a dream that night. And in this dream, Marianne, there was a spaceship that came down and landed in her backyard in a dream. And she got out of bed and walked out to these aliens who got out of this silver spaceship. And the aliens, these little aliens, walked up to her and said, "You need interferon." And she said, "What?" They said, "You need the chemo, interferon. Remember this, interferon." And they turned around and got back in the spaceship, and they left. Now, this woman lives in the Ananda community. She's a big meditator, but she's not really into UFOs or anything like that, just so you know. So she goes back to her doctor the next day, and she says, "I had the most bizarre dream, but I want you to hear this." And these aliens said, "I need interferon. Have you ever heard of interferon?" And the doctor went white. And he said, "Well, actually, I just heard about it. It's a drug that's not readily on the market. It's still in studies. It's so new, nobody really knows about it. But let's get you on it. We have nothing to lose." So she got on to interferon, and that was 20 years ago.
Wow.
I
just love hearing these. It's just so heart-touching to hear these stories because, here she's not in the ET community and probably going, "This is really super crazy. I had ETs talking to me, and we were talking about interferon, and I got to tell my doctor. He's going to think I'm a nut." But the bravery it took for her to do that, even though it's not really something that she's into, I think it shows, just if we follow these paths that are laid before us, just what can happen.
Absolutely. And these people that are in this book were so strong. They were willing to write these stories are written in their own words. I had them write them. And the editors for Inner Tradition, Simon & Schuster, said, for not being authors, these people wrote incredibly moving stories about their journey. And these stories they have some really frightening parts in them. But what is so special about them is they all have great, happy endings. So no matter how scared you get when you're reading these stories, it just goes to show you no matter how dark the moment is, there is light at the end of that tunnel if you follow that inner guidance. Because, Marianne, I really believe we're all born with guardian angels and spirit guides. We're their job, and they really take that job seriously. And being a human being of mind, body, spirit, sometimes all the other gunk we get mixed up into our lives can affect our health, our physicality. And we get off the path that we're supposed to be on, that path that we said we wanted to be on before we were born, to do something, to complete our life purpose. And those spirit guides, those guardian angels, come into our dreams and keep us alive so that we can get back on that path and get the job done. And sometimes just what we're going through, that dark moment at that time, is the life purpose, to go out into the world and say, look, you all have dreams. You can all connect to dreams. You all have guardian angels, and this book can help you connect to it and fulfill your life purpose.
Mm. That's just so empowering. And, I'd love for you to share, because, your story in itself is just, it's like a beacon for those that are going through really difficult times. And I would love for you to share for us one of the dreams that you had that was really profound. We don't want to go through all of them because, of course, people want to pick up their own copy of Dreams That Can Save Your Life. But I think if you share one with us that was really impactful for you, I think that would be amazing.
Okay. Well, I'll actually share the one that I put in this book in a smaller version that was actually from Surviving Cancerland, which is a very long version of it. But I had gone in for my physical exam, my mammogram, pap smear, a blood test, the whole works that you get once a year to make sure you're healthy. And my doctor said, everything is perfect. Your mammogram's great. Your blood tests are great. You are the picture of good health. See you in a year. And then I started having these nightmares. It was like that night I had my first nightmare. And in the nightmare, I was having my regular dream, which is really bizarre. I'm having a regular dream that we all have, and suddenly my dream freezes. Like the page on your computer freezes. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's weird. Everybody's frozen. What's going on here? And then a window pops up, just like a window on your computer where you can see stuff moving, but everything around it is still frozen. And that window in my dream turned into a big door. It took up the whole screen of my dream, like the screen on your computer. And through this door walks a Franciscan monk. And he's dressed in a brown robe. His robe is pulled up, the cap is pulled up over his head, or the hat part. Mm-hmm. And he has a rope belt on, and he has little leather sandals. And he walks up to me, and I can't see his face because the hood is pulled up. And he says, "Come with me. We have something to tell you." I'm like, "We?" And he leads me through the window, or the door, which is now the new dream. It's like it shifted into a new dream. And there are other monks in there. And they take my hand, which is unusual. Now the dream is becoming tactile. And they put it on my breast. And they said, "Do you feel that?" And I said, "Yeah." They said, "That's breast cancer. You go back to your doctor and get a different set of tests." So long story short, over the next 3 months, I would have this recurrent dream because every time I would go back to my doctor, he'd give me another mammogram, blood test, physical exam, and say, "You're healthy, go home." And I had all these yellow slips or pink slips or whatever color they are that would come in the mail saying, no cancer, you're healthy. So the third time I had gone and they did the same test again and told me I was healthy, go home. They didn't want to, the doctor said, "I don't want to see you for a year, Kat. Just go away." And that night, the window pops up again, the door pops up again, the monk walks through, and as soon as I see the monk, I start crying. And I said, "I know why you're here. I don't know what to do. My doctor will not give me a different test. He says, I'm healthy. If I really do have breast cancer, help me. Help me. Give me something that I can take back with me to him to get the test you say I need. And the monk reaches into his sleeve, pulls out a little tiny white feather, hands it to me, and says, you need exploratory surgery. Go back to your doctor tomorrow without an appointment, and you use this little feather as though it's a sword to cut through all the arguments your doctor gives you, and you'll get the test you need. And then he walks back through the door, everything closes behind me, and the next morning I went back to my doctor on his doorstep. His secretary buzzes him in his office, and he comes out. There's all these people in the waiting room. And I said, I really need to talk to you. And he goes, why are you back? And I said, well, I can talk to you here, or we can talk in the office. And he goes, come on back. I went back and I said, look, I know something is wrong. I know you're saying nothing is. I know something is wrong. I don't know where else to turn. I can't give myself other tests. I don't know what to do. Help me. You're my doctor. Help me. And he just kind of looked at me and he goes, well, what do you want? And I said, I need exploratory surgery. And I swear, Marianne, he looked at me like I had just set myself on fire. His eyes were bugging out of his head. He goes, no, I cannot do that. That's against my policy. It's against hospital policies. I can't even give you a different kind of test with no symptoms, no feeling, nothing. How can I do that? And suddenly I remembered that little feather. And I imagined pulling it out of my pocket. I imagined pointing it at him. And I said, help me. I need exploratory surgery. And it was like somebody glamored him, like all those vampire movies we see on TV now where they just say, oh, you want to go jump off the roof. And the person goes, yeah, I do. And they go up and they jump off the roof. And so my doctor said, well, where do you think it is? And I said, I think it's right here. And he leaves the office and he comes back in and he says, okay, I made an appointment. We're going to do exploratory surgery 2 days after New Year's. And I'll see you then. And long story short, because in the book I explain everything about it, including waking myself up out of anesthesia, which scared the whole room full of doctors. But I was in stage 2, aggressive breast cancer with it in a lymph node. Now, the moral of that story is, if my doctor had listened to me and worked with me 3.5 months before I had to have exploratory surgery to find it, I might not have had to have all of the surgeries, the severe chemotherapy, the radiation therapy, losing all my hair, all of that, if he had just listened. Just given me a willing test.
And said, hey, let's do things differently. She is adamant that something's going on. Let's check this out thoroughly.
Yes. And that's why we wrote this book, not just for other patients, but for the medical community as well. And so that patient, when they go into their doctor and they say, I know something's wrong, I'm having dreams, if that doctor says, which they said to some of the patients in this book, dreams are useless, they don't mean a thing. That patient can say, have you read the book, Dreams That Can Save Your Life? Have you read the stories of those 41 patients whose dreams did save their lives? If you haven't, you need to, but I need another test, and I'm not leaving without it.
Well, on that note, we're going to pause here for a quick break. We've been speaking with Kathleen O'Keefe-Kanavos in regards to her book, Dreams That Can Save Your Life. We'll be right back after these messages.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. Visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com.
There comes a moment when you realize you're somewhere special, when you discover that each beautiful creature that you see has been rescued from a life of absolute horror and brought to this incredibly free place. Here's where their lives were forever changed and where yours will as well. Discover over 500 tigers, bears, and lions at the brand new visitor center at the Wild Animal Sanctuary just outside Denver. For more information, visit wildanimalsanctuary.org. Discover true freedom at the Wild Animal Sanctuary.
Have you ever had the sense that your thoughts might actually be doing something? Ancient secrets of manifesting have been masterfully revealed in the award-winning book Manifesting 123 by Ken Elliott. For the first time, the author's experiences and stories in this book describe exactly how your thoughts can create anything. You've been doing this all your life, but it's never been fully explained for you until now. Visit manifesting123.com for more information today. Manifesting123.com.
There are nearly 2 million Americans living with amputation. Many live right here in San Antonio. Becoming an amputee can be scary, frustrating, isolating, but there's no reason to feel alone. The San Antonio Amputee Foundation is here to help support you and guide you toward resources such as home and car modifications and even prosthetic limbs. For more information or to make a donation, visit saamputee.org. We'll help you live a full, active life, one step at a time. San Antonio Amputee Foundation, healing limbs, hearts, and souls.
Welcome back to Moments with Marianne. I'm so delighted that we are actually spending this next half of the show with Kathleen O'Keefe-Kanavos in regards to her book, Dreams That Can Save Your Life. Now, Kat, I felt that your book was extremely powerful.
And it gives people a direction, because a lot of times when we're dealing with doctors and we're talking with them about what it is that we need, sometimes we have to be a very strong advocate for what it is that we're looking for, because a lot of times, people can get a little intimidated. Well, my doctor said no, or I can't ask him. He's already done this. He keeps saying he's done the same test. A lot of people wouldn't go through all the things that you went through to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And what I tell people is, yeah, you're healthy, you're great, but read it before you need it. That's what I tell them about this book. Have it there. If you have a dream that is telling you or guiding you to do something for your health, feel free to arm yourself with this book. Yeah, I had a feather. Use this book. Carry it under your arm when you go into your doctor's office if you need to. And you point the book at him if you need to. But you get the test you need, because your dreams are really important.
Yeah, whatever it takes, right?
Whatever it takes. Don't take no for an answer. Don't be dismissed. And be that squeaky wheel until you're heard.
Well, and I know you talked about this, it's in your book. You talked about doing basically a dream journal. What if people are like, well, I don't really remember my dreams, or, I'm not really good at journaling them. What's some advice you can give somebody?
Well, if your audience right now is running to get pencil and paper, you don't need to. There's a chapter in the book called So Dream, SODREAM, and it's the acronyms from So Dream that I use to help you remember your dreams. So let's start with the S of So Dreams. Set your intention. Before you go to sleep, set your intention. Tell your dreams what you want them to tell you, or tell your spirit guides or guardian angels what it is you'd like to know in your dream. And you can write that down on a piece of paper, set that intention and write that intention down. Then organize yourself before you go to sleep. In other words, put a piece of paper or a notebook or a recording device, use your smartphone, have a little flashlight there, so that you can write your dream down or record your dream as soon as you wake up in the morning. And then tell yourself you're going to dream. That's the D for So Dream. Tell yourself you're going to dream. Studies show that all living things dream, including you, including a a fetus in the womb at 7 months. There's REM. Their eyes are moving back and forth. So dreaming is the first step in training your brain to remember the dreams. So then you want to go with R for remain in your same sleep position. In other words, when you first wake up in the morning, don't jump up and rub your eyes and look around. Stay in the bed exactly in the same position you woke up, because otherwise you're going to jolt yourself out of the dream too quickly, out of that dream world, and you'll have trouble bringing the information out with you. You'll slam the door shut. Let's close that door slowly so that you can retrieve information. Then write down on that piece of paper, pencil, or talk into your smartphone emotions that you had with that dream. What was that snippet of information that elicited emotions? Add to that then, what colors, sounds, words, people? Did you see animals, plants, signs, symbols? What did you see that went with that emotion? And then underline the words that had the most meaning to you, and then write down your meaning for them in the dream. In other words, you see a snake in your dream. You underlined the word snake because it caused a lot of emotion in the dream, and it really means something to you. You don't like snakes. So for you, snake means danger. Somebody else, snake may mean the kundalini. So this is where your dream language is kicking in. Your dreams are teaching you your sacred dream language. Nobody else speaks it but you, your spirit guides, and your guardian angels, and that's how you communicate with each other. And so you put all of that together, and you're going to come out with an interpretation for a dream that you've now remembered. And during the day, if by chance you start to daydream, sometimes that will open up a bit of the door to your night dreams, and suddenly you can remember snippets from that night dream. They'll come back to you during the day. You might see signs and symbols during the day, which are synchronicities from your night dream. And that is your spirit guides, your dream world, continuing to work with you in your waking world. And that's really profound. Now you know you're on the right path.
That's so important, because I think a lot of times people, start doing their dreams and go, well, none of this makes sense. I don't think
the crazier the dream, the better the message.
Well, and then, so what are some tips on how to interpret that? Because you said, underline the snake. How does it feel, the emotion? Do you have other tips that people, they have this bizarre dream, they're like, I can't make heads and tails of this one?
Well, look for plays on words in your dreams. You might have, this is just an example, and I'm just making this up as I'm talking to you. You have a dream where you're walking down the center of a big road, and you're kicking a can that has the face of your ex-boyfriend, ex-lover, ex-husband on it, and you keep kicking that can down the street, in the center of the street, and suddenly you kick the can to the curb. What is that dream telling you? Kick that person to the curb. Look at the play on words. Stay in the middle so you can read both sides. But him, you might want to kick him to the left or kick him to the right. Then look at where you kicked him. Did you kick him to the left? Did you kick him over into your future, or did you kick him to the left and make him part of your past now and go on down your path without him? I mean, have fun with your dreams. And if you're not sure about a dream, ask for a confirmation for that dream. Ask your guides to take you back into your dream world and give you more information about questions that you have about that dream. They'll work with you. They want to work with you.
Well, and that's such great advice, because, it's all in asking the question. It's kind of like with you, with the monk, you were asking, help me. I need, if this is going to happen, I need you to help me. It's the same thing with the dreams that other people have. It's you've got to ask these questions.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you do. You have to ask the questions, and they'll answer them. You may not understand the answer right away, because remember, your spirit guides and your guardian angels are in an area that is not in tune with our time and space. It's an area where everything is the big now that Einstein talked about with the time continuum. So they can give you snippets of the future. They don't even realize, I think, sometimes that they're doing that because you're so in the, our little now is just a nanosecond. And sometimes they can give us glimpses into the future without necessarily meaning to. But then when you see synchronicities during the day that remind you of a dream that you had that night, you know that you are in tune with your dreams.
Mm-hmm. It all kind of comes together. Well, and I think that's so important that people understand that we've got this whole spiritual realm that's here to help us, when we're having these tough times, that you're not in it alone.
Exactly. You're never alone. In your darkest hour, you're not alone. And I think nothing drives that home more than this book, because almost every single person in this book, when they thought that they were completely alone, they were going to die, they felt so deserted a lot of times by everybody else, their deceased loved ones from the other side. And sometimes they were deceased loved ones they'd never met in this lifetime. Those people came to them in their dreams and reassured them, gave them information. And it wasn't until they went to their parents or their siblings or their aunts and said, I saw somebody who looked like this, 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 and this, and they said this, this, and this. Do you have any idea who that would be? And those people will say immediately, yes, I do. That somebody is your uncle or your brother who died at birth and they never talked about it, or your uncle who died 10 years before you were born. That is amazing to me. That is amazing that they could bring back that information, such a profound description that family members recognize them. And so even in their darkest hour, they weren't alone.
So I want to turn our attention a little bit to the stories that also have been collected for this book. And there's so many, and I'm sure all of them, read through them, and gosh, some of them are really pull at your heartstrings. Which one did you find that really made an impact on you?
I would say the dream that Kathy Kemper shared with us about a little girl that she was caring for. She was the physician for this little girl who had leukemia. And so Dr. Kathy Kemper is a pediatrician, and she's going to be on our panel with us in Arizona for the IASD in June. Dr. Larry Burke and Kathy Kemper and a few others from the book are going to be on that panel. And so Kathy Kemper would have to go around in the morning to do her rounds for these little children, like she had like 5 to 8 year olds. She walked into this one little girl's room early in the morning to draw blood or to check them or do whatever. And the little girl was already sitting up, very happy, and greeted Kathy. And Kathy said, well, my goodness, you're up early this morning and you seem so happy. What's going on? And the little girl said, I know that my blood cell count has gone up, 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 because I had a dream last night where the mercury in the thermometer was going up, up, up. Now, because Kathy Kemper is so in touch with her dreams, she realized that we all have our own dream vocabulary and our own dream language. And so she said to the little girl, so you're sure that your blood count has gone up so that you can have your next test sooner than we had planned, which was going to be like 2 weeks later, because the little girl wasn't recovering from her last treatment, which is devastating to those children because they have to stay in the hospital longer. They don't get to go home and be with mommy and daddy, and a lot of times they're in quarantine because their immune system is so low that they can catch something as simple as a little sniffly cold and it can kill them. So any other doctor who is not in touch with their dreams and didn't realize that we have our own dream language may have interpreted that child's dream as, oh my gosh, she caught an infection, it could be viral, which is really bad, and the thermometer was telling her that she's running a fever. Quick, we need to get her on antibiotics. But Kathy Kemper said, okay, let's take a blood test. You're not really scheduled for one until tomorrow, but let's do one right now. Send it off, and let's see what's going on. So the blood results came back as the little girl had completely recovered, and she was ready for her next test, and she was going to get to go home on time. And the moral of that story, again, is we all have our own dream language, and our inner guides speak to us in a language only we can understand. That I loved that story. That story just resonated with me so much.
No, it's such a beautiful story and a great reminder for people to really start developing that relationship with spirit so that they're able to make this kind of communication. They get obviously they're journaling and writing down their dreams, but they're also getting clarity on what this all means for them.
Mm-hmm. And, children are so open to this because they haven't been taught that this is foolish, put it away with your toys, you're an adult now, you don't trust in dreams. And Dr. Bernie Siegel wrote the foreword for this book. He called me and he told me he wanted to be in this book. And he wrote the foreword for the book, and he wrote a children's chapter as well. And in this children's chapter, he has stories of children who are too young to write down their dreams in a journal, just like this little girl that Kathy was taking care of. And so oftentimes he would have these children draw a picture. That was their dream journal, their pictures, because remember, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So if you're not really good at writing, if you think, I can't do a dream journal, I'm just not good with words, draw your dream and give it a title.
Yeah, that's such great advice because everyone does things differently. And maybe some people are like, well, I'm better at instead being more expressive through a different creative process as opposed to writing it down.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But just because you think that you can't write one down doesn't mean you can't have an art dream journal. I spoke with one gentleman who said, I can't write my dreams down. It takes too long. But I can draw a picture, and I can use the colors from the dream in the picture. And all I have to do is flip open to that picture, and the whole dream comes back. So if you're not good at writing, try just drawing your dream. Get yourself some colored pencils or crayons. Connect with your inner child. Have fun.
And how important is that? I mean, how often do people say, okay, well, I have to journal it, and that doesn't really work for me. It sounds like work. It's like you can have fun and let this be a creative process.
Oh, believe me, your spirit guides and guardian angels love to play with you. So if journaling is so important, find a way to do it that you truly enjoy. Just as your dreams are personal, so are your journals. And the way you journal is very personal. Maybe you want to write a really short introduction to the artwork, or just list the words that were important to you in the dream, underline them, and then draw your dream. There's a million things you can do. You can also just talk about the dream on your smartphone. Have a recording of the dreams. You don't have to write anything.
That makes that easy. Well, and what if someone says, gosh, I was in this dream and I got some important information. How do I go back and get it? I don't have everything.
Yes, and that can be frustrating, but there is a solution. What you do is you can ask for another dream to reiterate what was in the previous dream. I mean, you can do anything you want. They're your dreams. Or you can, if it's that morning and you're like, there was a name, there was a person, there was something else in this dream, just can't remember what it is. Lie back down in bed in the same position you were in just before you woke up. If you were curled up, curl up. If you were on your back stretched out, get back on your back and stretch out. Pull the covers up, close your eyes, and imagine yourself sliding back into that dream. 9 times out of 10 you will. And then go back in, find out what it was. Imagine yourself grabbing a hold of it with your hands and pull it back out with you. Keep doing that until you do it. It's called lucid dreaming. You train yourself to be a lucid dreamer. And once you do, your dreams are going to open up to you in a way you can't even imagine.
Do you find that people kind of overcomplicate dreams sometimes?
They do. You know, your dream life, your dream job, your dream lover, your dream relationship. It's not quite the same as dreaming. It's like they're overusing the word, and sometimes that can dilute it. But that's not to say you can't dream about a new job. I mean, I think there's a story in the book about that, dreaming about a new job. Dreaming about a lover, absolutely. There is one story in the book where the woman had a dream that said, if you don't leave your husband, you're going to get breast cancer. She thought, I'm not leaving my husband, although he was abusive. I'm not going to leave him. I'll be fine. Sure enough, she got the breast cancer, decided when it came right down to living with herself or without him or living for a short period of time with him, she kicked him to the curb, just like that dream with the can. And she survived the cancer, and her dreams guided her all through her treatment, and that's in the book. So, yeah, we're talking about real dreams, not, your dream job, unless you dreamed that job, or your dream relationship, unless you dreamed that relationship, which a lot of us do. And a lot of the women in the stories dreamed their doctors who were their surgeons before they'd ever met them. They described them. They had them in the journal.
Well, and I just find that so fascinating because the sky's the limit when it comes to dreaming, and it doesn't have to be difficult. Like a lot of times you hear people go like, lucid dreaming, that must be something that I have to really practice at, or I have to really practice at getting good at my dreams. But, I mean, really the sky's the limit. You can have fun and you can play with it.
Mm-hmm. You can, and the sky's the limit is right. You can even fly up there. You can ask your guides to help you learn to fly in your dreams, and you can fly anywhere.
Yeah, go for a trip there. Well, I think we have time for, if you want to share one more story from the book, Dreams That Can Save Your Life. Is there another one that kind of stands out for you?
Let me see. There was a story in the book, and they were actually a mother-daughter team, and the daughter had dreams or had a dream about her mother getting breast cancer. Her mother, in her dreams, had her breasts bleeding. And so the daughter said to the mother, I had this dream about you. And the mother said, no, you can only dream for you, so the dream has to be about you. Go to the doctor, go to the doctor. So the woman goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, no, you're fine. And the woman says, well, can you give me another test? I just want to be sure. He did. She was fine. And then the woman went home, and she said to her mom, I'm fine. I had that dream about you. You go to the doctor now. I'm taking you to the doctor. She took her mom to the doctor, and her mother did have the breast cancer. So the dream was for her mother. And the reason that dream is so important, again, this is dreaming for others, is because when I was doing one of the radio shows, I think it might have been Coast to Coast with George Norrie, somebody called in and said, well, what if the dreams you're having about your breast cancers are because your inner self knows everything that's going on in your body. So it's not really a prophetic dream or a diagnostic dream. It's just that there's some part of your brain that is telling you something's wrong with you. And I said, yeah, you're right. With a lot of them, that could be true, and it's coming through in a dream, but that still validates the dreams. But how do you explain where a person like this daughter dreams the breast cancer for her mother because that's not going on in her body, and the mother didn't have the dream? That's where those dream doors are truly sacred, where we go from the earth plane up through the dream doors, we get the information, and the dream comes back down and connects to the person we were dreaming about, which creates a pyramid. And pyramids are really powerful.
That is pretty powerful. Well, and what I love about each of the stories that people have submitted, that at the end of it, there's your interpretation and that of Dr. Burke's as well as commentary on it.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have this dual focus in a way where you and both Dr. Burke are giving your insights in regards to each person's story.
Yes, and we start these interpretations out with "if this were my dream," because, like I said before, really only you can interpret your dream. But quite often in the stories, the people interpret their own dreams. They do. Often they talk about it without really directly interpreting it, giving us an interpretation. So when Dr. Larry Burke and I do our interpretations, we usually just validate what they're saying, and you can see, even if you go into dream dictionaries, that validation is there. Sometimes the dreams are like I don't think there's anywhere in a dream dictionary that says little people who come down in a spaceship and give you an exact word to go to your doctor with for a treatment. I don't think you're going to find that in a dream dictionary. However, it shows that there's a connection with another world. And sometimes, as I said earlier, the more bizarre the dream, the more, profound the message. And how in the world can you forget a spaceship with little green people coming down? I mean, it's easy to forget beautiful flowers in a field and you're dancing through it. But oftentimes our biggest nightmares are a gift in disguise because they're a call to action that cannot be forgotten when we get back into our waking world.
Yeah, it is that call to action. It's like get moving, get on it, find out the answers, and it's important. I think it's so important that people hear this and, of course, pick up a copy of your book, Dreams That Can Save Your Life, because it can help really transform their thought process around the dream world.
Right. And if your spirit guides will tell you if you're ill, they'll come into your dreams. Your guardian angels will come and guide you in those dreams. They'll also guide you in terms of love. They want you to connect with someone who's going to be a guiding light in your life as well, where you will complete each other. And so often you'll have dreams that will be red flags if you're not with a bad person, but with a person who's not right for you. And sometimes love is not reason enough to marry someone. However, if you connect into those dreams, you will find the person that you not only love, but is right for you. It might not be a perfect person in the world, but it's the perfect person for you and your destiny. And the two of you together will make an incredible, incredible team. And sometimes you'll get that guidance in your dreams as well. So it's not just for illnesses, and it's not just for diseases or cancer, but it's for your life purpose, and it's also for your life partners.
Well, gosh, we could talk for hours, obviously. This is such a fun topic. I love your book, Dreams That Can Save Your Life. My goodness. Kat, where can people find you, connect with you, and be part of your community?
Well, you can go to my website, which is KathleenO'Keefe-Kanavos.com. But if you don't know how to spell all that, and I'll certainly understand it because it's a combination of Irish and Greek, and who could spell any of that, right? You can go to The Queen of Dreams, The Queen of Dreams. Put that up in your search bar. Don't put it in the Google bar. Put it up at the top of your computer in the search bar. It'll take you right to my website. And for your listeners today, Marianne, there's a free gift. As soon as they get to my website, there's a free gift for your listeners to download, and that is my video Dream 101 course. They get to download that, and it's only for people listening to your show today. So go to my website. Go download that course, and there is a free journal page in there that you can copy off of your computer or off of your printer and create your journal to put next to your bed. And you can either order the book right from that page with the Amazon link and the Barnes & Noble link. By the way, the Barnes & Noble around throughout the country have already run out of the book 2 and 3 times. So you can go to your local Barnes & Noble, or you can go to Amazon, or you can go to Inner Traditions and order the book there. And definitely, please, if you like the book, leave us a review on Amazon. We need the reviews so badly.
Well, Kat, it's been such a pleasure to spend this time with you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
Well, thank you, Kat. Really appreciate the gift that you have for everyone to check out that free video. Again, they can do that on your website. Well, we are at the end of our time today. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne. And remember, make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Moments with Marianne airs every Thursday, Friday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.